Today's webinar, the topic is low latency 4K over IP, and we will be focusing on some live demonstrations featuring SRT and the Makito X4 products, Haivision products for low latency 4K streaming. We just want to make sure that we start by thanking our sponsor, Microsoft, who is a big part of helping us with the SRT promotion and, of course, the SRT Alliance. So let's just jump in and go through a little bit of logistical stuff first. So obviously, if you guys are interested in getting an experience that looks a little bit like this and where you can see both Gislain and I, you can use the side-by-side mode. And if you have questions, submit them using the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen, and we will get to a few of those at the end of the session. So let's start with a quick introduction. So my name is Marcus Scholler. I'm your host today on SRT Tuesday for this webinar. I am the VP of Product Marketing at Haivision, and I'm joined today by Gislain. Thanks for being here, Gislain.
Hey, welcome. Thanks, everyone.
So Gislain is the VP of Product Management at Haivision, and we will be showing you a lot of interesting stuff, including some live demos, which is always exciting when you're in a webinar watched by hundreds of people. So we're going to actually kick things off with a live demonstration of the latest addition to the Haivision family of products. And then we're going to get into a much more in-depth demonstration on how to set up an end-to-end 4K workflow using Haivision products over SRT. And then I'm sure a lot of you are here actually to see what's going on with the new Makito X4 Decoder. So we'll walk through the launch of that product officially in more detail at the end. Before we begin, though, it is SRT Tuesday, and we want to start with a quick mention about SRT. For those of you who are joining a webinar of ours for the first time, SRT is a protocol that's open source and is available for you to use to enable high-quality streaming workflows over the internet. In this example, you can see the live source on the left and the result in the middle of what happens if you're dealing with even a small amount of packet loss when using a high-performance protocol like UDP, and that resulting video is unusable. With SRT protecting the video stream, you add a little tiny bit of latency and you get a high-quality stream available over the internet. How it works, quickly, it is an ARQ-based packet loss or packet retransmission mechanism to allow for low latency and high quality over the internet. The protocol itself is content agnostic. It works with H.264, it works with HEVC, it can even be extended to other types of content. It provides secure AES 128-bit or 256-bit encryption, and you'll see in one of our demonstrations today how it can be used to help simplify the process of firewall traversal. And for everybody here on the call, if you don't know already, it is available open source. You can go check it out on the srtalliance.org site, where you can get more information and get access to the source code on GitHub. So we are always very happy to mention all of the fact that the SRT Alliance is a growing community of vendors and companies and broadcasters that use the SRT protocol and that are helping us promote the adoption of this protocol to solve internet streaming challenges for contribution, distribution, monitoring, etc. We're at over 350 members right now. It's growing constantly, and we're pleased to announce the latest addition to the SRT Alliance, including Grass Valley and Evertz, Elicard, and Xilinx. So welcome to our new members of the family. We're very happy to have you, and thank you for joining. So with that, we're going to jump right in, and we're going to do the first part of the demonstration, which is a live demo. So hopefully everything will go smoothly. What we're going to do here is we're going to show you for the first time the Makito X4 decoder working. I think this is the first live demonstration ever of this, so I'm going to hand it over to Gislain. He's going to take it over and maybe just give you a little setup so you understand what it is that we're doing.
Yeah, so for just to prefix the the live demo, so this is the setup that I have with me right now is basically a 12 gig 4K UHD P60 camera plugged directly into an X4 encoder that I'm sure many of you know. already. So we're compressing that 4K, no scaling, no nothing, just compression over HEVC with an MPEG, standard MPEG transport stream over local network here. And then decoded back by the new addition to the family, as Marcus was mentioning before, the X4 decoder. So the whole setup is low latency. I'll show you. And then the output of the X4 decoder is connected directly into a 4K display.
Let me stop sharing.
So let me handle a bit my computer. So what we see, so this is the new baby, same form factor like the other Makito products that we have. And then this is just to show you how quickly the latency is, right? How quick so this is the standard end drop, low latency, end-to-end, glass-to-glass from camera to the display.
All right, so the first part of the demonstration work, that was really just to get everybody to see that it's working, it is available. We'll talk more about availability a little bit later. But let's keep going with the next part of the demonstration. So that was the first component where you get to see it working. We're going to go into a lot more detail now. So what you're going to see now is an end-to-end 4K low latency workflow over SRT, and we're going to show you how we're setting this up. We're going to get into in-product demonstrations here. We're going to start by showing you. For those of you who are not familiar, maybe some of you know this already, but if you don't, we're going to show you how to configure your Makito X4 encoder. Then we're going to show you for the first time ever the new Makito X4 decoder and its fancy new user interface. We could connect them straight together like Ghislain was doing, but what we're going to do is we're going to connect them through an SRT gateway, which you can be deploying on Azure or as an appliance. A VM, etc. And the reason that we're doing this is that we're trying to simplify a firewall problem that is something that people will potentially encounter in the real world. And SRT helps in this situation with the SRT gateway when you use the caller and listener mode settings. So you'll see how that works. And then we're going to take those streams and we're going to replicate them so you can see a way for us to enable remote monitoring on a mobile device, Haivision Play Pro. And then hopefully, hopefully everybody's seen it already, but my assumption is many of you have not yet seen Haivision EMS. And we'll provide you with a quick overview of how you can use that to manage your edge devices. So with that, we're going to jump right in, and we're going to start with showing you how to set up your Makito X4 encoder to send an SRT stream for 4K streaming. So what you see here is the Makito X4 user interface. You can see it's 8 encoding cores. We're going to pick the first one here, and we're going to pick our input, which is going to be our BNC1, which is connected 12G to 4K, and we're going to switch our codec to HEVC. We're going to use main 422 10-bit profile, and we're going to up our bit rate. And then you can see that there are options for scaling. We're going to leave it where it is right now because we want to do 4K. We could change the frame rate or the framing. We're going to leave all of those, but those are how you would configure those. And at this point, we just apply this and start our stream. And at this point, now we have our encoder set up. We're then going to set up the output, and this is where we create the SRT stream using encoder 0, which is our configured encoder. So we could have picked any of them, but we'll pick the one that we know is doing 4K. And the audio options. Then we have the SRT-protokol and its options there. We're leaving it in caller mode. The gateway is going to be configured in listener mode. And you put in the IP address and port. You have a couple of options, network adaptive encoding. You can change the SRT latency as needed depending on your network. You have your options for encryption. We'll disable those for now. And you create your stream. So now when we go back to look at our outputs, we see we have a stream that's working, but it's not connected yet. So we've just gone through the X4 component, the Makito X4 encoder component of setting up our workflow. So the next part is we are going to set up the gateway, the SRT gateway. So for those of you who are familiar with SRT gateway, the new version, which should be available in the coming weeks, will be introducing a new user interface. So you'll be seeing the user interface for the first time in this demonstration. And we are going to be doing this to set up, as I was saying, stream replication and some simple firewall traversal. So let's just jump right in and have a look at the new user interface for the SRT gateway. So we pick it up from where we were in the Makito X4 encoder. We'll switch to our gateway, and now you can see the new slick, very nice looking UI. The visual gives you nice indicators of what's going on with your streams. So we're just going to quickly create a new route. This route is going to accept the stream from the source from the Makito X4 encoder. And here we're going to pick our SRT protocol, but we're going to use it in listener mode since the encoder was set to caller. We put in our port number. And then we're going to add the destination, which in this case will be for our Makito X4 decoder, which we'll look at in a moment. And again, we're using SRT here in listener mode because our decoder will also be set to caller mode. Now, as I mentioned, we have the option of also using this to replicate the stream to enable remote monitoring. So we've created the initial route, and you can see here that as that route starts up, that there's a source and a destination for the encoder and decoder. We actually want to just add one more, another destination for our Haivision Play Pro app for monitoring. And again, we're gonna set this up using the SRT protocol in listener mode. And then we have a separate port that we put in for Play Pro, and we'll be showing you how that works in a minute as part of this workflow. We start that route. And then hopefully you can see the new user interface is simplified. It's easier to access the controls to get those routes running. And as we go in and see now, we have a route that's set up and the encoder is connected in. We need to go in and set up the decoder and set up Play Pro. So let's just jump over here. Hang on a second. I'm just checking to see everything's okay from a question standpoint. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the decoder. So this is a simple overview of the Makito X4 decoder. For the first time, you guys are seeing here the new user interface, which is what you see in terms of those decoder cores at the top, the four decoder 0, 1, 2, 3. Those represent the outputs that are available, and they give you an overview of the resources that are available for decoding. So let's just jump right in and have a look at the next part. So we pick up where we were at the gateway, and we're going to switch to the decoder user interface. So now you can see the Makito X4 decoder for the first time. The control center is where you configure your streams. We're going to add a stream here. Specifically for connecting to that gateway. So now we're working in caller mode. We need to put in the IP address to that gateway, the same one that we were using in the encoder and our destination port. It's very straightforward. In this case, we're just really setting up a quick stream on this side. And then you'll see when up in the outputs up above for decoder 0, we're going to go and pick that stream. Enable SDI output 1. And then we'll start the stream, and you'll see that the stream will be active. So now we've actually connected our decoder into the workflow, and we're able to effectively do what Ghislain was doing at the beginning, where he was showing the end-to-end workflow. So in the inputs, you can see that it's picked up the 4K stream, 2160p 60 at 5994. And in the user interface, you can see that the resources have been essentially are at 100% right now because this is a single channel 4K decoder or 4-channel HD. So it's using all of its resources to decode that one 2160p 60 stream. So that is the decoder, and that was the first look at that. And we're going to go into the decoder in a little bit more detail after the fact.
But Marcus, I just wanted to also highlight that the fact that this is a brand new UI also that we're rolling out into both the media gateway that is coming soon, the next version, as well as the X4 decoder. So this is a new framework that we've developed that customers should expect to see deployed in future versions of different products of the Haivision family.
Yeah, I haven't scanned the questions yet, but I'm sure there will be a question in there somewhere where somebody's saying, when will this user interface be in the X4 encoder? That's a future release, but we're working on bringing this new unified look across the product line.
Correct.
Okay, so we've now connected our encoder to decoder via a gateway. We also want to enable somebody to monitor that stream remotely. So this is where we're going to switch over to the Haivision Play Pro app, and I'll just do a quick preamble here. So Play Pro is something that you can use to play an SRT stream or actually contribute an SRT stream. It's very simple to configure. In the quick play mode, you put in an IP address and a port, and essentially it's as simple as that to get off the races. If you are following the syntax, you can create universal links for sharing, which makes it very easy to get somebody up and running with a stream without having to spend much time thinking about how to use the app. And if you take those universal links and put them into a QR code generator, you could share a QR code as well. And in fact, what we're going to do, so this app is available on iOS and it's coming soon on Android. We're going to switch over and let Ghislain show you, because he's got a QR code that's available that we've set up in advance, and he's going to use his phone to pull.
Exactly. So I've got a QR code printed. I'm just going to use my phone, just scan it. And if you see, there's a link immediately showing up. And so it's opening up Play Pro and immediately tuning on the live stream, where you can see that it's also fairly low latency. So this is actually from the encoder, the same camera feed that I was showing like live with the X4 decoder here. But it's actually bouncing over the internet through a media gateway and then back to my phone over a wireless connection, all this within sub 1 second.
Cool. So that is the overview of the end-to-end streaming, contribution, and remote monitoring. Let me just share my screen again here. And we are going to now just complete the demo. So what you would see at this point, as we went into this, back into the gateway, we can see that all the routes are now configured and connected. So including like what you just saw with Ghislain's iPhone with the Haivision Play Pro app. So you can go get that app on the App Store if you're interested in playing or contributing SRT streams. But now what we want to do is just show you a different component to the workflow, which is a useful piece of the equation if you need to manage multiple devices. And I'll hand it over to Ghislain to walk you through Haivision EMS.
Yeah, so this is also a fairly new product. We've got also an animation for it. So if you go, so if you logged in and then you can authenticate all your device, you can see that the X4 decoder is natively supported within the last version of EMS we released earlier this year. And so then I could see it, and then I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a category to just being able to filter and identify quickly my 4K enabled units. So I just created a new label, and then I'm going to pick and choose and those 4K devices that I'm going to drag and drop into that new category. And then very quickly I can see that I've got an encoder and a decoder. Just for sake of this demonstration, I'll do actually an upgrade. I'm going to reflash the encoder with the firmware version, so identify it, push a package, and then skip forward through all that process. So I can see now that I see my encoder. I have a shortcut that brings me directly into the native web user interface of that encoder. Makes it very easy to centrally manage and access those different devices depending where they're deployed remotely.
So that's a quick view of Haivision EMS. So, I mean, we did cover off a lot of different things there. So just as a reminder, we talked about the Makito X4 encoder for low latency encoding, the Makito X4 decoder for low latency decoding and viewing, the Haivision SRT gateway for stream routing, for flipping protocols to SRT if needed, for replication, firewall traversal. We looked at Play Pro, which you can use for watching SRT streams remotely, also for contributing SRT streams. And finally, a quick look at the Haivision. So we're going to go into the X4 demo at this point. More information about the X4 at this point. Decoder, if any of the stuff that you saw previously is of interest, make sure you get in touch with us at sales@haivision.com. We'd be happy to talk to you about these workflows and anything else. So with that, though, I think now is probably the right time, finally, for us to get into more details about the Makito X4 Decoder, which is the new addition to the Haivision family of products, the latest addition to the Makito X family. It's a low latency decoder, as we saw in the demonstrations. It supports 4K, it supports 4-channel HD, 422 10-bit. We'll look at the density, we'll look at stream sync and remote production workflows in more details. So
and it supports SRT natively, right? That's a SRT original from the get-go.
Absolutely. So let me hand it over to you, Gisela, to talk through the features in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect companion to the X4 encoder. So as a matter of fact, it's it's based on the same platform. So it's 4K UHD up to P60 capable. It can do both HEVC and 264. So for pretty much any resolutions. It's a super fast, encoder decoder pipeline that we've built. So this is, again, like perfect companion for the X4 platform. So you saw the low latency when I did the quick demo just a few slides before. It can also do 10-bit 422 at any resolutions. It's got the built-in frame synchronization or the stream sync feature to allow you to do multi-channel synchronization for remote production. We'll go into a little bit more details on a few slides. It's got already mentioned, like it's in the SRT original, so it supports that, but it also supports standard MPEG transport stream over RTP or UDP. You're not going to find a decoder that has the more density than this X4 platform. This is really remarkable. And then, as I also demoed just a few slides ago, the EMS 1.1 that came out a few months ago is already supporting the X4 decoder. So you don't need to update your EMS. For those of you who have it, you don't need to update the EMS. So it's like natively you can actually plug over your network the X4 that is coming, the X4 decoder, and see it and monitor it and manage it through your EMS platform.
So let's get the connectors, Gisela.
Yeah, so I kind of touched on it a little bit before during the presentation. So the way the platform has been built is that whatever gets decoded can be rerouted in many places. Again, like very, very highly demanded feature from the field, from customers, where it wanted to have the same content replicated multiple times for monitoring and basically use the additional connectors for distribution amplifying, right? So if you decode, for instance, a 4K P60, which would represent 12 gig over an SDI signal, so you could actually replicate it 4 times. So you can have a 1-to-4 distribution amplifier built in within the system, and it's actually pretty easy to set up through the GUI. But if you're also, if you're not, let's say, for instance, using 4K, but you're rather using HD, you can do 4 times full HD at 1080p 60. And then you can reroute your traffic also over any of the SDI output. So that's why we're saying not only it's dense and compact from a 4K point of view, but it's also like extremely dense when we're talking about full HD and HD resolution. So this is the other side of the faceplate. So we have, very similar to the X4, we have a 1 gig Ethernet port. Where actually the team is working hard and enabling the second network interface over the SFP Plus port. So that's coming later this year. And that's going to be used for multiple features, including the ability to partition which network interface should be dedicated for streaming and which one should be used for management.
So I think one of the things that we're most excited about is with the addition of the Makito X4 decoder to the family is that it is the natural pair to a low latency end-to-end workflow with the Makito X4. That's for any kind of low latency workflow, but especially for remote production, for multi-camera synchronized remote production. And with the introduction of the X4 version 1, it will be supporting the stream sync feature out of the get-go, enabling the synchronized multi-camera workflows. And so Gisela, maybe you can just explain how straightforward this diagram really is.
Well, I mean, first of all, the just with the single blade, you can actually do a 4-camera production, right? So you don't need multiple equipment. You actually just need an encoder on one side and a decoder, and you can do 4 HD cameras just within a single blade. So that's pretty remarkable. But we're not stopping just at 4. You can actually have multiple, decoders. Also, like we have customers using it for events that have 30, 40 cameras that are backhauling and all synchronized. And unlike some of the other solutions out there, like we make it very easy for people to configure. So where you can actually set what is the latency that you want to have all the path fully synchronized. And just go back a little bit to the the low power and the the size and the form factor. So again, this is just to reiterate the fact that we're talking about a 4K UHD decoder here, right? So we're talking about full capacity, fully loaded, full everything. It's maximum 18 watts. So like super low power makes it really suitable for portable field deployments. Powered by either a generator or potentially even inverters and battery packs. But the fact that it's also such a low power gives the ability to actually use chassis that we also have already deployed. So whether it's the MB1, the single blade, or the MB2, the dual blade, we have the MB6 and the MB21 chassis. So the existing chassis with the existing power supplies can actually host any combinations of X4 decoders, but together with any of the other Maketo families, like the X family that we have, whether they're HEVC or not. So again, no upgrade really needed. What you just need to do is slot the card and voila.
Okay, thanks, Gisela. So there is people have a number of Maketo X encoders that are out there already. Let's talk a little bit about compatibility.
Yeah, so obviously we factored that in mind when we did the design and the development of the X4 decoder. So this is fully compatible with the X4 encoder platform, but also the X platform has been around for quite some time, and there's like thousands and thousands of those out there. Whether it's the 264 HEVC, there's we also introduced last year actually the X1 Rugged. So it's a super compact portable encoders, but also the Play Pro app that I showed you. I showed you in a receiving way as a player, but as Marcus was saying a little bit before, the Play Pro app can also be used as a streaming encoder. So use the camera of your phone and stream an SRT feed directly to an X4 decoder.
Okay, so in terms of availability, how you purchase it, there are options for the appliance or the blade. There are options to purchase it as a quad HD 4-channel encoder or 4K along with HD. So those are separate options. If you were to choose to go quad HD at the beginning, you would have the option later on of doing a software upgrade with no additional penalty, just the difference in cost between HD and 4K. So those are the options that are available. And if you're interested, you can reach out to your Haivision sales contact now to place your orders. If you need more information about any of this content, you can go to haivision.com. There is a product page set up for the video decoder that's available now. You can get the data sheet, you can check out a video, see more about the features, and if you have any questions at all, absolutely, just get in touch. We'd be happy to help. So just to summarize what we covered off, we started, it is SRT Tuesday, and we started off with a quick reminder of the benefits of the SRT protocol for enabling high quality workflows over the internet, including, as you saw in the end-to-end demonstration, how it can be applied to a 4K workflow using Haivision products, but it can also, of course, be applied to many, many, many other workflows using those products from the hundreds of different SRT Alliance members. And it is the official unveiling today of the Maketo X4 decoder. So by all means, we suspect that many of you are here to find out more about the decoder. Please reach out to us. to get in touch to talk to us about getting your hands on one. So with that, I'd like to thank Ghislain. I'd like to thank everybody who joined today for today's SRT Tuesday webinar. We hope that you were able to get a good flavor for how Haivision products can help with low latency 4K workflows over the internet. And as always, how SRT can bring benefits to your workflows. So thank you very much. Thank you, Ghislain. And we look forward to seeing you in our next SRT Tuesday webinar, which we'll be sending out some information about soon.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Marcus.